The next attack on the United States may not arrive with explosions on television or troops landing on American soil. There may be no warning sirens, no emergency broadcasts, and no immediate signs that the country is under attack. Instead, millions of people could experience the same moment as lights go out, phones lose signal, and silence spreads. Military analysts have warned for years that modern war may begin this way without visible destruction or chaos. This scenario is known as an electromagnetic pulse attack, often shortened to EMP warfare. An EMP is not designed to destroy buildings, cities, or infrastructure. In a traditional sense, its purpose is to shut down the electronic systems that modern society depends on to function. War has evolved beyond battlefields, tanks, and soldiers marching across borders. In the modern age, victory comes from disabling systems rather than occupying territory. Electric power, communication, transportation, finance, healthcare, and food distribution form the backbone of society. A nation without functioning systems cannot organize, defend itself, or respond effectively. The United States is the most technologically advanced society in human history. Every aspect of daily American life relies on electronics operating continuously without interruption. That technological advantage also creates a dangerous level of dependence. The more advanced the system, the more fragile it becomes when power disappears. Previous generations could survive extended outages because life was more local and manual. Today, everything is centralized, automated, digitized, and optimized for efficiency, not resilience. An EMP attack exploits this dependence perfectly. An electromagnetic pulse releases a massive surge of energy in a fraction of a second. That surge overwhelms electronic circuits faster than humans can react or systems can protect themselves. Anything connected to power lines, antennas, or modern electronics may be affected. This includes vehicles, communication equipment, medical devices, and critical infrastructure systems. An EMP does not need to strike a city directly to cause nationwide disruption. A high-altitude pulse could affect thousands of miles simultaneously. One event could disable systems across multiple states or even the entire country because there is no physical destruction. The danger is not immediately visible. Buildings remain, standing roads remain intact, and cities appear normal from the outside. But the systems inside those structures stop functioning almost instantly. The American power grid is vast, complex, and deeply interconnected. Electricity generated in one region supports demand in another. This interconnected design increases efficiency during normal conditions, but during a crisis, it creates cascading failure. When one section fails, others follow in rapid succession. Much of the grid was designed decades ago at a time when EMP threats were not a primary concern. Large transformers are essential components of the power grid. They are specialized, difficult to manufacture, and expensive to replace. Many of these transformers are produced overseas. Replacing them can take months or even years under normal conditions. During a global crisis, replacements may not arrive at all. This means recovery from a nationwide blackout would not be quick. It would not be measured in days or weeks. It could take months or longer. During that time, modern life would not function as Americans expect. Food supply chains depend on electricity at every stage, from farms using automated equipment to processing plants and refrigerated storage. Transportation systems rely on digital logistics, fuel availability, and communication networks. Most grocery stores carry only a few days' worth of inventory. When deliveries stop, shelves empty rapidly. Fuel distribution is equally vulnerable. Gas stations require electricity to pump fuel. Refineries require power to operate. Trucks require fuel, navigation, and communication. When fuel stops moving, everything else stops with it. Water treatment facilities require constant electricity to function. Without power, clean water becomes scarce. Wastewater systems fail, creating serious public health risks. Hospitals rely on electricity for life-saving equipment and critical care systems. Backup generators provide temporary support, but fuel supplies are limited. Without resupply, hospitals face impossible decisions. Banking and financial systems are almost entirely digital. Without power, access to money disappears. ATMs stop working, payment systems fail, and online banking becomes inaccessible. People are suddenly unable to access their own financial resources. Communication breakdown accelerates confusion and fear. Cell towers operate on backup power for a limited time. Internet infrastructure becomes unreliable and then disappears. Emergency broadcasts struggle to reach the population. Rumors spread faster than verified information. This is how panic grows, not through explosions or violence, but through uncertainty and isolation. In a conventional war, destruction is localized. Infrastructure can be repaired and rebuilt. Normal life slowly returns. An EMP attack is fundamentally different. It targets the foundation of modern civilization. It does not destroy buildings. It destroys functionality. It collapses time. It sends society backward instantly. Emergency planners have modeled EMP scenarios for decades. The first 24 hours are marked by confusion and disorientation. People attempt to contact loved ones, but communication is limited. Emergency services struggle to respond as systems fail. Traffic signals stop working, causing congestion and accidents. By the second day, shortages become visible. Food, water, and fuel supplies begin to run low. Hospitals become overwhelmed. By the third day, social order begins to strain, not because people are inherently violent, but because systems designed to maintain stability no longer function. This is why EMP threats are discussed more frequently today. Global tensions are increasing across multiple regions. Modern conflicts increasingly target infrastructure rather than armies. Cyber attacks on power grids have already occurred. Military doctrine has shifted toward non-kinetic warfare. Silent attacks can achieve more than visible destruction. An EMP attack offers strategic advantages. It creates confusion without immediate attribution. Response options become limited and delayed. This makes it an attractive scenario for adversaries. The United States has publicly acknowledged EMP risks. Government reports have warned about grid vulnerability. Despite these warnings, large-scale protection remains limited. For individuals, the question becomes personal and urgent. What happens if the grid goes down? And what can I do before that happens? Preparation is not panic. Preparation is understanding reality. You cannot prepare after an EMP event occurs. There is no warning, no countdown, and no second chance. Once it happens, preparation is no longer possible. Some Americans focus on emergency food, water, and power. Others focus on communication and information access. Protecting critical electronics becomes a priority in preparedness. Communities' one solution often discussed is David's Shield. It is designed to help protect sensitive electronics from electromagnetic surges. It is not about predicting the future or spreading fear. It is about reducing vulnerability. Having protected communication power and essential systems could change outcomes. If an EMP event occurs, prepared individuals will not be comfortable, but they will not be helpless. If the grid goes down, deliveries will not resume quickly. Emergency assistance will be limited and delayed. Government response will be overwhelmed. Waiting is not a strategy. David's Shield exists for people who understand this reality, people who recognize that modern life depends on fragile systems. Protecting those systems is an act of responsibility. The most dangerous attack is not the one you can see. It is the one that arrives silently, leaves no visible damage, and offers no second chance. To understand why an EMP attack is so dangerous, you must understand how dependent modern America truly is. Most people think survival depends on food, water, and shelter. In reality, survival depends first on systems that deliver those things. Electricity is the invisible force holding everything together. When electricity fails, every dependent system fails with it. This creates a collapse that moves faster than any emergency response. Modern Americans are not trained for long-term outages. Most households are prepared for hours or days, not weeks or months. An EMP event would not be a temporary inconvenience. It would be a prolonged national emergency. Transportation would be among the first systems to fail. Traffic lights would shut down immediately. Rail systems would stop. Airports would lose radar communication and ground coordination. Modern vehicles rely heavily on electronic components. Many newer cars may not function at all. Even vehicles that still run would face fuel shortages. Without communication systems, coordinating emergency transport becomes impossible. Emergency services rely on dispatch centers. Dispatch centers rely on power, communication, and digital mapping. When those systems fail, response times increase dramatically. Law enforcement becomes reactive instead of proactive. Fire departments struggle without water pressure. Ambulances face fuel shortages and navigation challenges. Public safety erodes not from intent, but from limitation. Food production is often misunderstood. People imagine farms producing food independently. Modern agriculture relies on electricity, fuel, and digital systems. Automated equipment, irrigation systems, and supply coordination all require power. Processing plants depend on refrigeration and automation. Without processing plants, raw food never reaches consumers. Distribution centers are highly automated. Without electricity, they become warehouses full of unusable inventory. Urban populations are especially vulnerable. Cities depend entirely on constant deliveries. Without trucks, cities empty quickly. Rural areas may have more resilience, but they still depend on fuel. Medical supplies and communication healthcare collapse would be one of the most devastating consequences. Modern medicine is inseparable from electricity. Life support, imaging, diagnostic equipment, and refrigeration all require power. Backup generators exist, but are not designed for long-term grid failure. Fuel logistics become the limiting factor. Hospitals may be forced to prioritize care. This creates moral and emotional trauma beyond physical harm. Pharmaceutical supply chains also depend on refrigeration and transportation. Medications become unavailable. Chronic conditions become life-threatening. Mental health impacts grow as uncertainty increases. Information becomes a critical resource during crisis. Without communication, people rely on rumors. Rumors increase fear. Fear drives poor decisions. Social cohesion weakens under sustained uncertainty. Financial collapse compounds every other problem. Digital money dominates modern economies. Without power, money becomes inaccessible. Payroll stops. Businesses close. Workers cannot be paid. Savings become unreachable. This leads to desperation even among previously stable households. Supply and demand break down. Bartering may return. Local communities may adapt, but large-scale coordination becomes impossible. This is why EMP is considered a strategic weapon. It targets civilian dependency rather than military strength. A nation can have the strongest military in the world, but without systems, it cannot deploy that strength effectively. Military bases also depend on civilian infrastructure. Fuel power, communication, and logistics are interconnected. An EMP event affects both civilian and military operations. Response coordination becomes fragmented. Decision-making slows. Recovery planning becomes chaotic. Attribution becomes difficult. Without clear evidence, identifying the attacker is challenging. This complicates political and military response. Escalation risks increase. Deterrence becomes less effective. These factors make EMP an attractive option for adversaries, especially those seeking asymmetric advantages. Countries that cannot match conventional military strength may look to system-disabling strategies. The goal is not invasion. The goal is paralysis. This is why preparedness experts emphasize resilience. Resilience is the ability to function when systems fail. At the individual level, resilience begins with awareness. Understanding vulnerabilities changes behavior. Preparedness is not fear-based. It is responsibility-based. Families prepare not because they expect disaster, but because they understand consequences. Critical electronics deserve protection. Communication devices are lifelines during crisis. Power generation and storage become essential. Information access allows better decisions. In preparedness discussions, protecting electronics from electromagnetic events is common. This is where solutions like David's Shield enter the conversation. It is designed to reduce the risk of electronic damage during electromagnetic surges. It is not a guarantee, nothing is, but reducing vulnerability increases resilience. Prepared individuals focus on layers of protection: food, water, power, communication, and knowledge. Each layer increases survival odds. Waiting for confirmation before acting is dangerous. EMP events provide no warning. There is no escalation phase. There is no evacuation notice. The moment it happens, options disappear. This is why preparation must be proactive, not reactive. Those who prepare early have choices. Those who wait do not. In any large-scale crisis, the difference between chaos and survival is often preparation made quietly beforehand. As the blackout continues, the psychological impact becomes as dangerous as the physical consequences. Humans are conditioned to expect systems to work. When they fail, trust erodes rapidly. Uncertainty becomes the dominant emotion. Without reliable information, people assume the worst. This accelerates fear, faster than any visible threat. Social media normally spreads information quickly, but without internet, it becomes useless. News outlets cannot broadcast. Government messaging becomes fragmented. This creates an information vacuum. That vacuum, rumors become reality. People act on assumptions rather than facts. Communities that rely heavily on digital coordination struggle first. Remote work collapses instantly. Supply management systems shut down. Corporate operations freeze. Economic activity grinds to a halt. Stock markets cannot function without power. Global financial confidence collapses. International trade pauses. The effects extend far beyond national borders. An EMP event affecting the United States would disrupt the global economy. Supply chains are international. Manufacturing depends on synchronized systems. A prolonged outage creates worldwide shortages. This increases geopolitical instability. Adversaries may exploit the chaos. Allies may struggle to assist. Recovery becomes more complex as time passes. Infrastructure repair requires skilled labor. Skilled labor requires coordination. Coordination requires communication. Without communication, recovery slows dramatically. Local governments face impossible challenges. Maintaining order without systems strains resources. Public trust in institutions weakens. Law enforcement becomes overwhelmed, not from crime alone, but from requests for help they cannot fulfill. Emergency shelters struggle to operate. Food distribution becomes localized. Community cooperation becomes essential. Where communities cooperate, survival improves. Where cooperation fails, conditions worsen. History shows that societies under stress reveal their true resilience. Prepared communities adapt, unprepared ones fracture. This is why personal preparedness matters. Individual actions scale into collective outcomes. Prepared households reduce strain on emergency services. They become assets rather than liabilities. Preparedness is not selfish. It is stabilizing. One prepared household reduces pressure on 10 others. Protecting electronics plays a larger role than many realize. Information access enables coordination. Power enables communication. Communication enables cooperation. When electronics fail, isolation increases. Isolation accelerates panic. Reducing electronic damage preserves connection. This is the logic behind shielding critical devices. Preparedness experts often discuss Faraday protection concepts. The goal is to isolate electronics from damaging surges. David's shield is designed around this principle. It provides a protective environment for sensitive devices. It is part of a broader preparedness strategy, not a standalone solution. Those who understand EMP risk think in layers. They protect what they can. They accept that perfection is impossible, but reduction of risk is achievable. As days turn into weeks, adaptation becomes the priority. People form local networks. Bartering replaces currency. Skills become more valuable than money. Those with knowledge thrive. Those without struggle. Medical knowledge becomes critical. Mechanical skills become essential. Digital convenience disappears. Basic functionality becomes priceless. This is the reality of prolonged system failure. It is not cinematic. It is slow, exhausting, and unforgiving. This is why EMP scenarios are taken seriously by planners. They represent worst-case systemic collapse, not because of destruction, but because of dependency. The United States has spent decades optimizing efficiency. Efficiency reduces redundancy. Redundancy provides resilience. EMP attacks exploit efficiency. They punish optimization. Recovery requires rebuilding redundancy. That process takes time. Time is the one resource people underestimate. During recovery, patience becomes survival currency. Prepared individuals buy themselves time. Time to adapt, time to organize, time to help others, time to wait for systems to return. Those without preparation lose time immediately. David's shield is about buying time. Protecting essential electronics preserves options. Options create flexibility. Flexibility creates survival. At some point, every crisis becomes personal. When lights stay off, when food runs low, when information disappears, that is when preparation proves its value. There will be no announcement before an EMP event, no press conference, no evacuation order, no second chance. Preparation is a quiet decision made in advance, not a reaction made too late. Those who understand this act early. Those who ignore it, hope systems never fail. Hope is not a strategy. Preparation is. As recovery drags on, the reality becomes impossible to ignore. This is not a temporary outage. This is a systemic failure. People begin to understand that normal is not returning quickly. Electric crews cannot restore what they cannot replace. Communication networks remain unreliable. Government timelines offer little reassurance. Trust continues to erode. At this stage, preparation separates outcomes. Those who planned ahead still have options. Those who did not are forced into reaction. Reaction is always more expensive than preparation. This is the phase where regret becomes common. People realize what they assumed would always work never actually had backup. Modern life trained people to outsource resilience. Power companies handle electricity stores, handle food banks, handle money, phones, handle communication. An EMP event removes all intermediaries. You are left with what you personally prepared. This is uncomfortable, but it is also clarifying. Preparedness stops being abstract. It becomes tangible. This is why conversations about EMP are increasing, not because fear is spreading, but because understanding is spreading. Experts are not warning about EMP to scare people. They warn because consequences are severe and prevention at the individual level is still possible. Protecting electronics is often underestimated. People focus on food and water, but forget communication and information. Without information, decision-making collapses. Without communication, cooperation fails. Electronics enable both. This is why shielding matters. A single protected device can change outcomes. A radio preserves awareness. A power system preserves communication. A stored laptop preserves data and planning. These are not luxuries. They are force multipliers. David's shield exists for this reason. It is designed to protect critical electronics from electromagnetic damage. It does not promise invincibility. It offers reduction of risk. Risk reduction is the foundation of preparedness. No solution guarantees survival, but layered protection increases probability. Those who understand this do not wait for confirmation. They act when action is still possible. Waiting feels safer until it is too late. An EMP event offers no warning window, no gradual escalation, no preparation phase. Once it happens, the window closes permanently. This is why timing matters. Preparation must occur before the event, not during, not after. Those who delay lose choice. Choice is the most valuable resource in crisis. David's shield is about preserving choice. Protecting electronics preserves functionality. Functionality preserves the independence. Independence preserves dignity. At the end of the day, preparedness is not about fear. It is about responsibility. Responsibility to yourself, responsibility to your family, responsibility to your community. Prepared individuals reduce strain on everyone else. They become helpers instead of dependents. If you believe systems can never fail, then preparation feels unnecessary. But history shows systems always fail. Eventually, the question is not if, it is when and how prepared you are when it happens. David's shield is not about predicting disaster. It is about respecting reality. Modern systems are fragile. EMP threats exploit that fragility. Ignoring it does not make it disappear. Preparation is the only rational response. The link in the description exists for a reason, not to scare you, but to give you an option you will not have later. Once the lights go out, once communication fails, once systems collapse, options disappear. Preparation is a quiet decision made today. Crisis is loud and unforgiving. Those who prepare now will never regret it. Those who wait may not get another chance. The most dangerous belief is that someone else will handle it. In an EMP event, no one is coming immediately. You are the plan, and preparation is the difference between chaos and control. At the end of every crisis, there is one truth that becomes impossible to ignore. The people who prepared were not lucky. They were realistic. They understood that modern systems are powerful but fragile, and that fragility carries consequences. An EMP event would not announce itself. There would be no countdown, no final warning, no time to make last-minute decisions. Once it happens, preparation is no longer an option. It becomes a memory. Most people believe they will have time. Time to react, time to adapt, time to prepare. EMP scenarios remove that illusion. They happen instantly and they change everything. This is why preparedness must happen now. Not when fear is trending, not when headlines appear, but when action is still possible. David's shield exists for this exact reason. It is designed for people who understand risk, people who understand that prevention is always cheaper than recovery. It is not about panic buying, it is about responsible protection, protecting communication devices, power systems, and essential electronics. These are the tools that preserve coordination, awareness, and decision-making. Without them, isolation sets in, and isolation accelerates collapse. With them, options remain. Options create stability. Stability creates survival. No product can promise safety. No preparation guarantees comfort. But reducing vulnerability changes outcomes. That difference matters, especially in the first critical days when systems are down, help is delayed, and uncertainty dominates. This is not about politics. It is not about predicting the next war. It is about understanding how modern society actually functions and what happens when that function stops. If an EMP attack ever occurs, the question will not be why it happened. The question will be, who was ready? Preparation does not make you extreme. It makes you responsible. It makes you resilient. It makes you useful when others are overwhelmed. David's shield is one part of a broader preparedness mindset, a mindset that values foresight over comfort, action over denial, readiness over hope. The link in the description is there for those who understand this, those who know that waiting is the riskiest choice. Once systems fail, choices disappear. This is one choice you can still make. Make it while you can, because when the lights go out, when communication stops, when the world goes silent, preparation will be the only thing that still works. And in that moment, it will be the difference between fear and control.